Me about the Bible.
War itself became our most lucrative industry. Every bomb that's dropped, somebody makes $1 million. You don't have to know where those bombs are exploding. You don't have to see the grieving mothers and the mangled bodies of their children.
This is our final Oscar entry that we watched for February. On March 12th, we're going to be live streaming during the Oscars. This one's to catch while me and Andy up. We watched Argentina 1985, The Banshees of Inisherin, Glass Onion, Tar, All Quiet on the Western Front, and The Fablemans. You can catch all of those episodes on our Oscars playlist. Tonight we are talking about Triangle of Sadness. It was directed by the Swedish director Ruben Östlund. This is Östlund's third international film. The previous two were Force Majeure in 2014 and The Square in 2017. Force Majeure was on the shortlist for the 2015 Oscars as Sweden's entry for Best International Film. After some early buzz, it ended up not getting the nomination. Östlund uploaded a satirical video in response to the snub.
Wild Tales.
We're dead.
For achievement in directing, the nominees are Alejandro G. Iñárritu for Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, Richard Linklater for Boyhood, Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, Wes Anderson for The Grand Budapest Hotel, and Tilden for The Imitation.
The Square won at Cannes and then was nominated for Best International Film in 2018.
Yeah! What? Nej. Skal jeg nå videre til Oscar?
Triangle of Sadness has left the international category altogether. It is nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay. It has already won the Golden Palm at Cannes in 2022 after receiving an 8-minute standing ovation. Triangle of Sadness, I think, has the most diverse and international cast I've seen in a recent movie. Representing America is Woody Harrelson playing a Marxist but not a communist ship captain on a cruise ship for the super rich.
I'm a shit socialist because I have too much. I have too much abundance in my life. I'm not even.
Filipina actress Dolly De Leon, incredibly English actor Harris Dickinson, South African actress Charlby Dean, who tragically passed away last year from sepsis before the movie was released, German actress Idris Berben, Danish actress Vicky Berlin, and Croatian actor Zlatko Boric. Although it couldn't be more different in execution, Triangle of Sadness explores similar themes to another Best Picture nominee, Tar. Thematically, Triangle of Sadness looks at the relationship between beauty, power, and wealth. Charlby and Harry Dickinson play Yaya and Carl, who are both models who have started a transactional relationship. Carl is more romantic, while Yaya sees it as a business relationship, first and foremost, and holds no illusions about the temporality of beauty and the modeling industry.
You know, increasing the followers on our Instagram and all of that.
And it makes sense, doesn't it?
Sure.
I like you, you like me. It's good for business.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty brilliant that Östlund chooses to explore this industry, as male models make significantly less money than female models in an extremely patriarchal and shallow industry. Yaya is also an Instagram influencer and gets the products she advertises sent to her, which is how they end up on a cruise ship for the super rich.
We got this cruise for free. Good. The looks paid for the tickets. Not bad, huh? Good. Yes, yeah.
We have a long scene where Carl and Yaya fight about money and the transactionality of their relationship, with Yaya expressing how distasteful it is to her to discuss money, and Carl fretting about being used in their relationship. We cut to the cruise ship, where money is the only thing that makes the relationship between crew members and guests even vaguely tolerable.
At the end of the cruise, you might be getting a very generous tip.
Crew members hope for a large tip from their super wealthy guests. Two of the richest guests, Russian oligarch Dmitry and the Swedish coder Jorma, both appearing to have their own transactional relationships, although Jorma's date for the cruise got sick and canceled. The beauty that our models have paying their way through this cruise is supplanted by cold, hard cash. The cruise ship itself is a hierarchical structure, with beautiful attendants occupying a more comfortable place in the ship's hierarchy than perhaps the cooks and replaceable crew members in the galley. The lowest is the toilet manager, Abigail.
Do you want me to clean the room?
One time.
Okay, I'll come back in 30 minutes.
No, if you come back a bit later.
Okay, 1 hour. Can you just come back later, please?
At the top of that hierarchy sit Woody Harrelson's Marxist ship captain, the assistant captain, Darius, and the chief stewardess, Paula. One thing that denotes their collective power is the power to say no.
It's always, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. If it's an illegal substance they want, or a unicorn. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am.
On Thursday, in the middle of the cruise, an ever-escalating and pretty gross series of events culminate in pirates blowing up the ship. But not before one of the most brilliant scenes, where American Marxist ship captain Thomas and the capitalist Russian oligarch Dmitry face off and then befriend each other as the ship churns in a horrible turbulent storm.
I have a joke. Do you know how to tell a communist? It's someone who reads Marx and Lenin. And do you know how to tell an anti-communist? It's someone who understands Marx and Lenin. It's Ronald Reagan, a funny guy.
Pirates pick the worst day to try to hijack the cruise liner, which goes down, killing many of the guests and crew. The third act, helpfully denoted as part 3, takes place on an island where the power structure inverts.
Who are you? Who am I? You're the toilet manager. No. And the yacht toilet manager here. Captain, who am I?
You're the captain. Look at me. Sure. I'm the captain now.
The lowest of the crew's hierarchy, Abigail, has the food gathering skills and thus the ability to end up on top. The once unquestioned patriarchal structure of crew life is now a matriarchy and one with an inverted pyramid.
You managed to run a fucking matriarchy, Abigail.
And what is any hierarchy if not a triangle of sadness?
Can you relax your triangle of sadness?
I'm excited to get into all of these themes as they are some of my favorite to discuss tonight.
We have to work together and create a good group, good society.
Yes.
You know, the saying this, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs.
Anyway, before I introduce the panel, let me say, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Also, we are now monetized, so if you have any pressing questions during this live show, send us a super chat. We are absolutely obligated by international law, human rights law, to answer it. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Movie Night Extra. All of our after parties are available on there forever. Okay, let me introduce the panel. Jandrew World, illustrator, book cover artist, comic designer, and artist for Give Them an Argument, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and Bad Takes. Conan Neutron, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, host of Botanic Reversal, and frontman for Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. Zach Marsh, he's a filmmaker, musician, contributing editor at FilmSpeak. His current project is at Talk in the Park, and he's on Letterboxd. I, of course, am your Academy Award nominated host in the supporting role, Forrest Miller. Let's bring out those nominees.
No snubs this year. Except for Nope. Except for Nope. Yeah, not for the show, though. Zach, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, man. It's great to be here.
Zach
did I get everything with that plug?
Yeah, that was the most comprehensive plug I have ever had in my life. I appreciate it.
You should hear the end of the show. Zach is a rare echelon that I believe you've probably seen Everything Everywhere All at Once as much as the people who made it.
I have seen it 30 times. So I mean, you know,
I've seen it a lot, but not like how Zach Marsh has seen it a lot.
That being said, as someone who just edited, granted, a short film, the Daniels have definitely watched it way more times than
I'm sure
ever possibly could in my life. So
I'm sure.
That's why there's two of them.
Yeah,
they have to do it in shifts.
So really, they've watched it like 2,000 times because you know,
or maybe they've each watched half of it 1,000 times.
They could have done that. Yeah.
Who knows what
the other half was a surprise.
Exactly.
You know, it's funny. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen like Swiss Army, well, probably Swiss Army Man, but also The Death of Dick Long, which is the Daniel Scheinert film he did without Kwan. Those films are really instructive as far as like who does what in that partnership, I think.
Yeah, you kind of get a feel for like how they work it all out and divide their labor. I think it's so fascinating that the like best director category this year is nuts because it's like you could go a bunch of different ways. You have like, you know, the old warhorse hero doing his last ride, potentially Spielberg, right? You got the Daniels, which are like, yeah, there's nothing there for boomers at all, but they're like obviously like this new vanguard. Then you have Todd Field. It's like, we just want this guy to keep making movies. Let's encourage him.
Yeah. I was actually surprised how many there's so many articles in his absence that were like, where's Todd? Like every time a movie didn't do well that like critics wanted it to do well, they're like, we should just bring back Todd Field.
Yeah, bring him back. What's he up to? Get him in here. I am glad that I was surprised, but glad that Triangle of Sadness got a nod because I think it's very, very interesting and cool. It was definitely buoyed by the international community. This movie has done far better internationally than it has in this country. Which
you know what happens when they don't give him a nod? You just saw it. He kicks the garbage can and screams.
Exactly. It's gonna light you up, people. It's gonna light you up. Yeah, I think this is a very adventurous movie. And like, even though I didn't think it was a perfect movie at all, I found it quite enjoyable. And it's nice to see. I never saw Force Majeure, but I mean, it's nice to see like somebody that's clearly a very talented, internationally known filmmaker be honored when it's not just like, you know, oh yeah, let's see, let's skip the bottom of the barrel here. Okay, what do we got? All right, you know, sure, let's get a chick in here. Women talking. All right.
Well, and it feels like in a world where like the rich over and over again have faced no consequences, like the best we're really going to do at this given moment in time is like allow everyone to watch a 2-hour movie that's basically like wish fulfillment for like a custodian on a cruise ship.
Totally. It's like D&D for class consciousness. Yeah, for sure.
Like they're going to be talking about this movie and like looking nervously at whoever has to clean up after the Oscars. Like, well, you know, we gave it a nod. Like,
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and that's one of the most hilarious things about it, right? To have it be sort of championed by people that are, you know, of a certain class distinction and have a certain degree of privilege. It's very hilarious and kind of funny that should happen, but it doesn't change the fact that like the message of the movie, first of all, it's entertaining as a movie, which I appreciate for just, you know, not just political didacticism, but you know, it gets across things like I mean, how great is Woody Harrelson's Captain character? You know, awesome.
Who,
And
I mean,
it's
is
such a
kind of
slow
the-
reveal to see him. Like you kind of have
Yeah.
people that talk about him, and like you even like he's knocking at the door, and there's like, oh, dip, it's Woody Harrelson. Whoa, crazy.
Well, he's kind of the corollary for someone who's like an Oscar judge or something, like who's
Yeah.
at that level that like votes for Triangle of Sadness to get the nod, right? Like
Right.
because his class, I mean, he admits this on the thing, but his class position is one of luxury. I mean, he's probably not rich, but like his bank account probably is like, he's stacking in that fucking, I mean, he's stacking enough to be drunk the entire cruise, not have to do anything. And yet, like espousing
ironic,
all of
'cause usually
these
Woody
like
Harrelson's stoned all the time.
Yeah. He's the real Woody Harrelson spends most of that money on weed, and can be absolutely sure.
Like the weed pants from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Which might have made him tolerate the rich people more. Like,
Yeah,
if
maybe.
you get drunk around people you hate, it's not going well. If you get high enough around people you hate, it's probably not going great, but like still.
That was unfortunately timely that Woody hosted SNL this.
I was just gonna say in the hurting good SNL jokes, like the Captain to me is like that is people's idealized version of who they wish Woody Harrelson actually was in real life.
Right.
Basically. So
No, I back that because it's yeah, look, so first of all, anyone expecting like a celebrity, even like a great actor like Woody Harrelson, to be like, very like informed class warrior with perfect politics or something along those lines, come on. Like there's no way that's happening. It's great to see him play it. And I actually really got into his character in The Oligarch, like when they kind of like get this weird friendship going, kind of where they're just like getting wasted together. like I thought that was amazing, and that was I didn't actually see that coming. I just thought that the fellow from Pusher was going to continue to be like the butt of the joke, and I was fine with it because he's great. He's such a brilliant on-screen presence.
Yeah, but they were setting him up for the later joke, which is like, everyone's a capitalist, so you get stuck on an island with, and
right. But this is he's so close to getting it, right? Yeah, absolutely. That's 100%.
Yeah, he's the Andrew Yang of the cruise.
Right there, you're right there. You almost said it.
Well, I like how the movie makes you think that maybe he is getting it, and then his wife washes up on shore, and you watch him take her jewelry off of her body because he's got to keep the money, and it's like, oh, this he's hopeless.
Yeah, it's and it's a very brutal movie for scenes like that, which just are pretty unflinching. By the way, the one snub with Triangle, I think Dolly De Leon should have been got a nomination for this because she's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But I get it.
And now, like I mean, it comes from watching Everything Everywhere so many times. You kind of realize that Jamie Lee Curtis is excellent in the film.
She's so good. And how has she not been nominated like before? Right? That's crazy.
Well, that's the thing, right? But that being said, like I think she is just barely my number 6. I would still probably put Dolly De Leon in that slot. Especially because I mean, the film has another nomination in that category, and it has 9 nominations on top of that. I would
it's not hurting as a film, right? It's not like they didn't get noped.
No, and I mean the Nope cinematography snub is, we can get into that later or something, because that's just
so egregious. But this is, I feel like this is the rare movie that's both very entertaining but also kind of difficult too. Yeah. Like it's kind of like parts of it are a bit of a slog. Like when it's starting off and you're like, what's their deal? What's this couple's hold? Like, and then like, and like, you're like, is this about models? Am I watching the right movie? What is happening? And then like, it all makes sense later on. But like the way he unfolds it, it's so careful and takes so much time that you really get the establishment.
Drop the film so early in it, so you know you're watching the right movie.
Exactly.
Can you relax your triangle of sadness, please?
Yeah,
that's like first 5 minutes. It's like okay, I'm watching the right.
Which
movie.
I was like, okay, all right, you got it. All right. But like I love all that stuff. It's just, it's kind of almost seems like he's doing like 4 kind of different films and all kind of doing them at the same time, which is ambitious, and I think for the most part it works. I mean, again, there's some real genuine emotional pathos happening in a movie that has so much vomit and feces flying around.
Yeah, so like getting into his side of it or whatever, I found like there's this interview that, and I'll play parts of the interview throughout this, but like I found him talking about the idea and like where he came up with it kind of interesting because so his wife is a fashion photographer and is like very immersed into that world, which, you know, the beginning scene, I don't think he talks about it in this clip, but the beginning scene with the elevator in the restaurant is something that happened to him at Cannes with his wife. Like, you know, they were just dating for like the first time or something, and he was paying for all the meals at Cannes and was like, am I being used by this fashion photographer? So like
rip from the headlines. By the way, this here, and this is not going to work for the podcast listeners, but this is like every time Forrest takes a screen cap, this is what I look like.
It's really hard to get everybody at once. Well,
somebody's always looking down or blinking.
Most of the time I'm doing it blind on here. I'm just like, all right, I hope nobody blinks at this moment.
Exactly.
And they always do.
They always do. Whatever.
What started the idea was when I met my wife. She's a fashion photographer. So I got very interested in the fashion industry. And
by the way, his voice is the same voice that Peter Sellers uses for Dr. Strangelove. And it's you get used to it, but it's hard at first.
I got interested in beauty and beauty as a currency. I thought it was interesting that it's one of the few things that can make you climb in class society, except from money and education. So I started to do research in the fashion world, and I started to find out interesting facts, like, for an example, that the male models are earning 1/4 of what the female models are doing. Male model is they actually called male model, so they say, can we get the male model on set? It was really like in the fashion world there's also an upside down pyramid if you look at the how did you say, the default society. And so it starts already with the upside down pyramid in some way, since the main character is a male model and his girlfriend,
who is
they're a branded couple, basically.
Yeah, and they're influencer couple.
Yeah,
right. So that's what starts the idea.
Yeah. And then I wanted to take a look on this beauty as a currency in the fashion world and see how the structures are working there, and then go to luxury yacht, and then we end up on a deserted island. So it's basically like 3 different of chess boards that I'm like playing around with the characters.
I feel like there's another version of the film that like, or there could have been another version of the film made by somebody else where it's just the island.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's just the sunken. So I again, you and I have talked about this, and we're cool spoiling this.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to spoil this movie actually. But the boat with all the rich people goes down, and a few of them end up on the island in sort of this, I mean, I don't want to say in a Survivor kind of way, because they're not working together, but they're sort of trying to figure their lives out on this island. You could have just started there.
Yeah, sure. I think that what was important for me was with turning points, and I love turning points in a movie when you can, like, as I said, turn upside down on a structure or create a new kind of setup that reflects the thematics of the film in just a different way. And since I did Force Majeure and The Square, the 2 previous films that I've done, I had I was very speculative. You know, I wanted to take a very attractive environment, like a ski resort, and then I want to discuss gender expectations. And in The Square, I took another attractive environment. You know, the art scene. You want to go and click on it. And in this film, I actually wanted to take 3 attractive environments: the fashion world, the luxury yacht, and the deserted island. So I knew already from the beginning that I didn't only want to have one of them. I wanted to have extra.
I mean, as we know, just being on the island is just Gilligan's Island.
Except for, you know, the skipper. The skipper goes down with the ship.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting to me that the point the interview made, but like, you know, the island could have been its own movie, because I always think about I think it was Tarantino who said like the opening of There Will Be Blood, where he falls down the well and breaks his leg and has to crawl back to society, could have been an entire movie in its own.
Yeah, I think James Franco was in that.
Yeah. I dig when movies do that, when they have like an act of a movie could be a movie in its own, and the island is like its own film.
Yeah.
And it's also like, you know, the film kind of threatens to pull it's like he's walking so many tightrope walks, it threatens to pull itself completely apart, and it seems like it is at multiple points on the island. And then in the final like 10 minutes, he manages to marry everything he was doing in the first part and everything he was doing on the yacht. It all comes together just like at the snap of a finger, and it's it's the moment where I was like, oh yeah, this is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and this is one of the reasons why, like, when I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna know as little about this as possible. I'm just gonna walk into this and like see what this is all about, and I felt really good about that decision because there was definitely times where I'm like, what is happening? Like, what's going on? Like, where's it? And but like, it was also the unsettled nature of it actually helps with the narrative, I think, and that's where the movie really succeeds, because you see things like like they're trying to ostensibly do Animal Crossing or something, like near the end, right? And if you didn't have like the built up stakes of them like just arrogantly talking about like whatever the hell was going on in their lives and their fortunes, and being bored and blasé about it on the ship beforehand, then who care? Who, like, you wouldn't have any stakes for any of it. And like, you get a lot of aspects of things from other movies. I think the only thing I don't love about it is I think it's a little bit drunk on its own self-importance at certain moments. And but we live in nuanceless times, so that's the way it is, And I have the same beef with the menu. See what I did there? Because I think that like, you don't need to broadcast it necessarily, but I guess you do. I don't know.
Well, now I want to know what you think of Don't Look Up, because if you want to talk about movies that are nuanceless.
Well, absolutely, but I think that was the entire. We did a whole episode.
You can actually watch that
with Jerry Casale of Devo, and yeah, definitely a mixed bag. I quite liked it, and I even defended it to a lot of people. But also, I think a lot of folks, people were mad that there was nuancelessness. So it's like, that was literally the point.
Yes,
it's literally the point of the movie. Like, if you didn't get that, I don't know what to tell you. Like, what do you think this was going to be? What time period do you think we live in?
Yeah, I think Adam McKay called it like a guttural screech into the void or something.
Yeah.
Like his own. He was like, "This is me screaming, into the void that everyone should start paying attention." And it's like people like, "Oh, look at this motherfucker screaming into the void."
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, it's a movie that opens with a text quote of like, my grandfather died peacefully of a heart attack. 150 passengers on his plane, not so much, or something like that. Right?
Right. Yeah. Like the old comedy bit. Yeah. But I think that this is like, Triangle lacks nuance in a different way, but the nuance isn't the point. The point is to show that like everybody gets a chance to be terrible in this. Like even Dolly De Leon's character, who we're rooting for, because she literally in her regular life is the one who like cleans up people's shit. Right. Like, and so it's hard not to be like, yes, go get it. But like, she's a little tyrant too. Like, like in a different way.
You could almost see this though as like if you wanted to interpret this a different way, almost as like a dream that she's having as the ship goes down or something. You know what I mean? Like,
oh sure, okay.
I'm not saying that is but like it's her, like it's almost like her wish fulfillment, right from the very beginning. You see her kind of walking on the couple.
She gets the model dude, and
like,
is like, "Hey, you're with me now," like.
Yeah, she gets to literally like just fucking cuck her boss and make her boss into like the beta, like, and, you know what I mean? So like, I don't think that's what it is, but I'm saying like the last third of this feels like it's like it's dream custodian wish fulfillment pretty much.
Yeah,
you could make that case. Yeah.
And for the old heads, that was Forest Mermaids.
Wow, that's ancient.
That's a deep cut right there.
That's so deep. I doubt anyone would actually get it. But yeah, I mean, so Zach, I mean, what do you think? Like,
shout out to the one person who's been there since the beginning. That who's like,
Doug Lane might be watching this later and be like, I get that joke.
I was on that episode. Yeah,
I understood that reference.
Exactly. He's doing the Leo point.
Yeah.
I mean, but what do you think? What do you think, Zach? What do you think about all that? Like, I mean, especially like, I don't think anyone would ever accuse this film of being subtle, but I think that's also not the point, right?
Well, yeah, because I think there are a lot of ways in which, like a lot of ways life is nuanced, but also a lot of times life is not nuanced and it's very brash and loud, and especially when you're dealing with like, rich people's interactions with poorer people. It's funny because maybe the section of the film that involves the vomiting and the shit is a little, excessive right? But I think other than that, I actually find this a very sincere film. You know, I just find that its human interactions are very true to life. They feel very true to life, at least. So it's a film that, yes, it's unnuanced, but it's also it also kind of is, you know, it's unnuanced on the surface, but when you kind of dig deeper into the emotionality of it, it actually feels like it is. It's very complex. Like, again, it's one of the tightrope walks that Östlund's doing the entire time, and he somehow, at least for me, he doesn't fall off at any point.
I think one level of that is that I noticed is like the disposability of various characters throughout it, right? Like, because there's the very unsubtle thing where he literally is like, oh, I don't like that, you know, the guy that I chose for our after party thing, the, you know, the hunky guy with the fucking chest hair. It's like, I don't like that he's, you know, that my girlfriend was flirting with him and I'm gonna send that guy away, not thinking that he's actually gonna get sent off the ship or whatever. And then he does. But then also the disposability of Dimitri's wife when she washes up on shore.
Yeah.
The disposability of every male model that you see in the beginning when they're looking through, like, you know, one of the biggest modeling campaigns probably of the male, like, it's his blue steel or whatever. And,
right.
and they're like, oh, well, that was like 4 years ago. He's disposable. I mean, female models are always seen as disposable. And, you know, they're just kind of on there because she's an influencer and she's hot at the moment. But, like, you know, at some point she says in the beginning, like, it's like, if I got pregnant or something, I couldn't work anymore. I can't do a regular job. This is a short-term burn through commitment. So, like, the disposability of all these various characters and the replaceability. And, you know, as you get into the hierarchy, like, the most replaceable character is Abigail on the ship. But then once you get to the island, she is not like
she's like irreplaceable. She's the only one that
she's the only one that can catch fish with her hands. Like, so I think that that's one of those
could
things.
Translate to you know, octopus hunting.
But that's part of beauty is currency, right? Because currency is also currency, and you see somebody like Dimitri,
and social capital in its way. You know.
But I mean, to an extent, like, there is the, you know, the one Swedish guy that you have to think that, you know, someone kind of ghosted him on the fucking trip and he keeps sending her pictures or whatever. But like, you know, to an extent, like, the grossest two guys on the ship are the richest, and they're kind of surrounded by women at all times. And you know, but like that
beauty are not in the same class as them.
that beauty is both a currency but also intangible, and also gets burned through constantly. And at some point, you know, you have kids, and if you're not somebody's trophy husband and you're Yaya, which I kept thinking about Jaja Gabor every time they said Yaya, but yeah, like,
Jaja Gabor was hilarious, to be clear. But
yes, we covered that on an episode before you joined us.
That was a long time ago, and I would be shocked if anybody noticed it. But yeah,
it was our most watched episode.
Oh, well, there you go.
It was the one that we did with Natalie Scher.
It's the one that, nothing we ever do will be better than that one episode, apparently, with Natalie Scher.
No, but so just so just thinking through like that, those moments in it that I think are very or at least more unsubtle, right? Or more subtle, not more unsubtle. But like, so I think at some point the conversation about class is kind of like hitting you over the head with like literally Abigail being like, I'm the captain now, and doing the fucking scene from Captain Phillips or whatever,
right,
with the pirates, but to the guy that is the pirate, like, which is kind of funny interplay, I guess. But like, but then there's a lot of things about disposability and intangibility, and you know, the currency of beauty, the currency of like attraction, like all of these things that are not, and the hierarchy on the ship itself, with the stewardesses or like attendants getting a way easier time, just like, you know, they kind of are the models in that case, and like, you know, having a way easier time. And I also noticed that the thing on the ship with the hierarchy is the ability, and I said this in the intro, the ability to say no seems like their form of
right, because as few people have the ability to say no, but everyone else they're literally instructed, no matter what they say, you have to find the yes for it. You have to find like whatever crazy ass thing they ask for.
It's like an improv class.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But yeah,
I want to see the uniform from that improv class.
But Zach, I don't know. Do you want to weigh in on any of that? It's
well, yeah. Well, I actually I think your point about, you know, the ultimate, the sign of power on the ship being the ability to say no is like, really, at the end of the day, I think the captain is the only person that is able to consistently say no and actually have it like stick.
And
which he does all the time. And by the way,
like Darius tries to say no to talking to the passengers and he gets shut down, or to give the guy the tour. Like he tries to get out of that and then immediately gets stuck giving some dumbass a tour of the bridge, right? Like,
but the captain still isn't able to get out of at least doing the captain's dinner, which is kind of
that's the one. Yeah, it's the one thing that he can't get out of, right? Because it's the role that he occupies is literally in the name of the thing, and but he still kind of halfway tries to get out of it. Like, dude, you can't get out of it.
Well, I think on rewatching it, my view is that he does actually understand that Thursday is the worst day to do it. Right. And he decides deliberately to have the captain's dinner on the day of the massive storm as his like act of defiance.
Yeah, well, and you know, assumably everyone's kind of eating raw fish. You could assume maybe not that they're going to get as sick as they did, obviously, but like that maybe they're going to want to cut that whole thing short if you're standing there and you're like, you know, hey, the boat's rocking a lot. You sure you want to meet the captain? I also think that it's funny that the captain is the person who's like, you have to think like your life is most in their hands, right? Like they're commanding the ship. And the way that the captain is treated on a cruise ship like that, at least in this, is like kind of like Mickey Mouse at fucking Disney World. Like everybody wants to meet the captain.
Go get your picture taken with
them.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's like here's the guy that, you know, if he steers the ship the wrong way and you know, you could sink it, but it's also like he's also a pretty good person to, you know, just shake his hand and get your picture taken with him and move on. You know, this is the Disneyfication of the cruise lines.
And that's one of the things I love too so much about that like while things are getting crazier and crazier with the ship and like stuff's buffeting around and stuff, they keep trying to pretend like everything's okay and everything. Oh no, it's fine. Like we'll just continue on. It gets like crazier and crazier until of course we get the first vomit, you know, of which would beget all the other vomit. And it's like, of course, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, are you like you can sit here and pretend you're having like the perfect evening, like, you know, like at this high class, like estate level affair, but dude, maybe skip dinner. like your table is like bouncing around, dog. Come on. Like
and also you could think that maybe it's kind of an act of defiance for the chef who's like the chef is clearly exasperated.
Can you imagine the level of entitlement that guy has had to deal with like over the years?
But like, but he's like
throwaway line too.
But they're like, yeah, if we do this, the you know, the food's all gonna go bad. And like, yeah, but we still like we can't say no to this, like, you know, these drunk Russian people. Like everybody in Europe is obviously kind of terrified of Russian people anyway. I think like they're like the wild card of the fucking continent. So you can see why there's the great line, which makes it funny that like everything's going on with Russia right now, because there's that one line where there's like you know, this is just he's like I'm not gonna go deal with some crazy Russian person, and they're like, no, like it's a rich Russian person. He's like, exactly, like
that doesn't make it better.
No.
No, and you know, and they are like weird, entitled, bizarre children too, and like even like a little moments are supposed to be like when the one woman's like trying to be empowering, like, no, come down into the pool to do the thing. It's just like, this is so weird and like off-putting, and like it's not cool for you to be doing this, and you don't realize why it isn't cool because you never had to work for a living. But it's like, yeah, no, she could be fired for that.
And there's also there's the great tracking shot going down the ship where each of them looks miserable as they're waiting to get in the pool.
Exactly. Yeah,
you hear her being like, come on, go for a swim, come on. And there's like these like you know, these like random like Latin American guys that are just like, or like South Asian guys like that are just clearly miserable, like, come on, I want to get this fucking over with, like we have to do the whole dinner and everything, like
it's kind of like I talk about enforced fun. It seems very much enforced fun vibes, but
that's
like
that they have in Russia.
I was just gonna say it's very Russian. Exactly.
Mandatory fun. We have fun now.
You have fun. You have fun right now. If you not have fun, you go to jail.
I've seen Rocky IV. I know they have fun. But I mean, like it's I like those little tableaus where you get to see just the myopicness, like the not getting itness of like how they are in very different positions of power, the people that are like passengers on the ship versus the folks that are like working on the ship, and that like it's so different they cannot conceive of what it is like for them, and they think they understand and they don't. And the reason why that works is because it is actually like that so often in real life. And we can get into like a larger argument about like, you know, how there's just no depictions of anybody working class that isn't a temporary embarrassed millionaire, I suppose. But I think from a larger perspective of why the film works is like it spends a lot of that runtime in that first like third to the second third kind of laying into that and showing you, and it's awkward and weird and very funny, but awkward, you know. And you get to see like there's people that want to get it and never will, and there's people that don't care at all about getting it and are not even remotely interested in it as well. But if shipwreck happens, everyone's literally in the same boat. So.
Well, and there's a level of entitlement, I think, to even someone going, well, I'm sad, you know, that everyone in the crew seems sad and like, you know, or they don't seem like they're like having fun, so I'm gonna force them to have fun. Yeah. And there's like a level
to
of
make myself feel better.
Yeah,
like their fun is incidental. Like I'm gonna feel better by having people have fun.
Yeah, and the entire reason for it and that whole power dynamic is like, then, you know, even if they're not enjoying it, they're still here for your own you know, fulfillment. And if your fulfillment is to watch them have fun, they better fake having fun for your fulfillment. Like
you've given them a different job, right? Exactly. They now have a different like type of work that they have to do to fulfill for your happiness. And like it's not liberating. No one thinks that you're like a cool person for doing this. You're just making it weird.
and I think also the entire like transactionality of the relationship between you know, Carl and Yaya at the beginning is a similar thing where to her
it's crazy that it's based on like a real interaction that Ruben Östlund had with his girlfriend that's
with his wife now, like
which is now I guess it worked out okay, right? Yeah, like you're saying. But like it does seem like that particular scene is like that seems like so real. I'm like, I don't think you could just write this. Like it seems like really lived in, and I guess that's why it was.
Yeah, I was getting flashbacks to a past relationship.
Yo, actually same, but you know, but like I also love the line where
and that's transactional too, right? And Yaya's character is like absolutely acknowledges it and like thinks, hey, well, of course it is. Yeah, that's like what we're doing here, right? And he doesn't get or accept that originally, and then he kind of does, but also kind of doesn't, and kind of doesn't want to be like, and that nuance of it is what sets everything kind of like kind of hackles up for most of their relationship, where he's like very untrusting, like when she's like checking out like the dude, right? And then he's like, well, I'm gonna see about this, right? And then I'm thinking about another non-nuance, like, you know, White Lotus, the first season of White Lotus, like the one guy is just like obsessed with like that kind of thing, where it's like, oh my god. But the thing is that people like that do exist, and they come from a place of privilege. Only you can't, if you come from a working poor background, you would not know how to do that unless you were literally acting in a play or something. There's no way you would ever have the temerity to like behave in such a manner. Yeah. And that's, you know, to talk up your care and behavior or whatever. But like, it's a manifestation for him of this internalized, like he wants it to be one way, it's actually another.
Well, and I would kind of expand that, I think, when you see him online for the you know, for his next gig or whatever, and he doesn't seem to accept that, you know, the world of modeling has moved on without him, and he's kind of getting older. He doesn't accept that he's kind of burning out of this modeling phase, right? For him, he's very carefree about it and kind of just like waiting online. And then, you know, they're like, well, now we want emotion, we don't just want this. That was like so 3 years ago, which of course the most that's the most fashion industry thing to say in the world,
of course.
But he seems to not accept his own disposability within that
it's not in his control, but this stuff is in his control, and that's why he behaves in the manner that he does, because he's trying to put control over us in a situation where
it's something, and he's trying to feel something in a superficial relationship, but also in a superficial career, also in like a superficial, like everything surrounding him. He's trying to find meaning out of something, whereas she just kind of accepts, like, no, I'm gonna burn through this pretty fast, and if I don't find a trophy husband, which isn't gonna be you, by the way, because you're you know, fucking you're British Zoolander or whatever, like you know, it's gonna be some other guy. It's gonna be the fucking, like, someone like the Russian guy.
I was gonna say it would be the oligarch before me. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it what shows a good little character study of that, and then it also shows like why he's almost like so like low key rageful at like trying to get this dude, whether he sought it out or not, trying to get this guy fired. And
Yeah, he carried her out. He carried the dude out.
He can, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what he chatted her out. I don't know what's the male version of being a Karen. I don't know. But anyway.
No, he just is a Karen. But like at the same time though, that's someone who's naturalistically doing what he does. Like he looks good. Like that's the only thing he can really do. He can sit.
That's
there
his
and look
skill.
good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and this is a guy that's like just a guy like a hand on a ship. That they're like, oh, that guy looks good too. Like his one function has now been
that's my thing. I do that thing.
By a guy who looks like
fucking
Jason Manitukis or whatever, like the guy that plays Rafi on the league. He looks
exactly high class Rafi.
Yeah. Not even high class because he's just a hand on a ship. Like that literally literally would be probably what Jason Manitukis would be doing if he wasn't acting.
Step up. Yeah, I mean the actual Jason Mantzoukas as a guy is way more interested in that. But I think there's a lot of stuff there. Zach, did you want to jump in on any of that? I don't want to like railroad.
No. I think you guys kind of covered that. Like I'm honestly just engaged with listening to you guys more than anything else. This is nice because like when
he's the perfect guest. What I say?
When I do one of the Film Speak streams, like I'm not like shutting the fuck up. It's kind of just nice to just be actually able to listen for a bit.
It's kind of nice not to be able to get word in edgewise, huh? Yeah. I don't think I brought it up on stream yet. When I watched Triangle of Sadness, I had not seen the Pusher trilogy, which I quite enjoy. And of course, the actor who plays the Russian oligarch, he looms large as like a character in the first two, and is the subject of the third one. That's Zlatko Burek. I think that's how you say his name, right? And he's been a that guy. He's been a that guy sort of for a long time. Right?
Yeah. Like you need like a slimy Russian for your movie. Like he's kind of
there you go. Call him up.
Yeah.
What's he doing? What's he doing? And like I think he's fantastic in this role. And it's nice to, especially when for those of us, when we're living in America, you hear a lot like on cable news about Russian oligarchs, right? It becomes this like vague thing, this vague idea of what a Russian oligarch, and then when it's like, oh no, that dude actually is a Russian oligarch, and they do actually behave in that manner. Like it's kind of awesome. Like it's like you don't ever see that depicted. And if it is, it's depicted in a way that's like cooler than they actually are. Like, no, they kind of suck. They're kind of goofy looking. They have like weird hair. They don't give a damn. They don't have to give a damn. They're like rich.
Yeah. No, and like the only difference probably between real Russian oligarchs and the one in this is that like they have their own super yachts. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. He would have his own lot. He would have the lot that.
Well, he might be a low grade. He might be like a low grade because like some of them are fucking like some of like the richest people on earth. Like
right.
you could think of him as like maybe a lower grade. Like he still has to take like the cruise ship to get around. Like he doesn't have like super yacht money, but he's still up there. Like he can't go to China and buy one of their fucking super yachts that nobody will buy because they're way too expensive. But you know what I mean? Like they were trying to offload like 35 of them last year, and it was like this was right when we were sanctioning Russian oligarchs, and China got fucking pissed. They were like, "Who's gonna buy these fucking super yachts now?" Nobody. There's no one around that can buy our.
You think this fertilizer magnet's gonna do it? He doesn't have enough money.
You just sanctioned him. You just sanctioned his shit.
That's my view of his character, though. Is obviously, he's rich and he's successful, but he's also like, and he's like stupid rich, but he's also like, he took like a public cruise, like he's, which again, like you're going on cruises, you're not poor, but like, he's very much one of the crowd kind of rich rather than like I live in an ivory tower rich. And I think he's overplaying his wealth.
Yeah.
He's making himself seem like he's a billionaire when he's probably like a multi-millionaire, which is still, not bad. Right?
It's not exactly poor. Yeah.
And I mean, I like that this touches on the actual which of course, Ruben Östlund Swedish, he would have seen this firsthand, but like the dissolution of the USSR where it kind of becomes this like libertarian neoliberal hellscape where all of a sudden you can just kind of be like some random guy that fucking was selling enough fertilizer to build an empire out of nowhere because they like it was
literally the right shit at the right time.
Yeah, well, and they say it in this, like, you know, it was the Wild West, and like literally the description that everyone uses for that is like, no, this was the Wild West. Like you could consolidate and probably fucking kill enough of your competitors, you know, because this is the time where the Russian mafia was like, you know, brolic. Like you could probably have enough of your competitors turn up in a thing of shit or whatever with like shit stuffed in their mouth and like suffocated or whatever, like for you to be the fucking king of shit.
Yeah.
to be king shit of fuck mountain, as they say.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and he won Zlatko won best actor for the European Film Awards. And you know, again, it's interesting to see, especially as we cover the various features for the Academy Awards, like how things are portrayed and how things are understood and honored internationally versus here. And I think probably the only way that that's kind of getting over with folks is just how big of a deal All Quiet on the Western Front is.
Yeah.
I think that's getting over. Other than that, I think it's like Decision to Leave, snubbed. One of the worst snubs since Nope, frankly.
One of the worst snubs we've seen.
Well, and Banshee's, you know, technically speaking, it's international, but it's Martin McDonagh. I mean, like he's a known commodity. He's known to that world. I mean, Seven Psychopaths, you know, it's like his version of adaptation or something. Yeah, mixed with Quentin Tarantino, and like he's like in the group. But for people that aren't in the group, like a lot of people were. I was surprised by how much All Quiet on the Western Front has like kind of captured people's imagination. But when Triangle of Sadness was nominated, I'm like, yeah, no, I get it, because it's like this is a big this in Europe. This was like much bigger hit, and like it connected with people in a way that. Look, there's much more discussion of open class consciousness than there are here.
Well, I mean, obviously won the Palme d'Or. Like it's a Cannes film if there was ever a Cannes film. You know?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like central casting. Write me a Cannes-oriented film. You know, yeah.
I know the other thing too is like, you know, most people in America don't get to connect with people like that. I lived in the Berkshires for a while, and
that's a good point.
Right when the Berkshires was like the place to go if you had money, too. And I was working retail, and I met these people every single day, and let me tell you, it was not fun. Although then Harrison Ford would show up, and that was fun. But
did he fly his plane?
No.
Soon. Anyway,
I barely got out of that one alive.
Yeah, well, and something that I found kind of interesting, which is why I included it in the intro, is that this is the first technically English language film that Ruben Östlund has done, which, I mean, you know, it's interesting that All Quiet on the Western Front is not an English language film, but is nominated for because I think the language barrier is a big part of it. So his snub from, you know, best foreign language film pretty much is what it is, like for the one in 2014, Force Majeure, like, you know, he put that whole video out,
which they remade. Didn't they remake that like with
Will Ferrell, Downfall?
Ferrell.
I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't either. Yeah.
Now, I got a question.
Wait,
for you.
so what I was saying is, so then the square was in both Swedish, Danish, I guess, and English. You know, because Elizabeth Moss or whatever was like the star of that, and so but that was still considered a foreign language film, and it got nominated as a foreign language film because this is, you know, this film is entirely in English. It was up for Best Picture instead, which is kind of something that I find fascinating. Also, the fact that I mean, it was a huge hit in Sweden. His first video that was just like Swedish director freaks out, which is a hilarious day for a video because it 100% is him listening to that live and then decided to kick a trash can, and then he uploaded that and was like.
And
people
it's
are going to take this as satirical.
Yeah. No,
but,
it's deeply hilarious.
So then his nomination, he had the whole cast do a video, and that's the one where you know, she's screaming or whatever into the thing. Like so that was the second one. I feel like if he didn't get nominated, he would have kicked up such a shitstorm that they were like, no, let's give him the nod. Like I feel like that had to have played into it a little bit because the first video went viral.
It did. It was a huge. I saw that video without having known any of his films at the time, and I was like, "This is hilarious! Like, I love this. This is great. Why not? You know, like bully them. They deserve it."
Yeah. I haven't even seen the movie, and you know what? He should have gotten that.
I'm for it now. what movie was it? Yeah, nominate him.
Yeah.
Force Major, yeah, get that shit.
Force Majorie. Wait, how do you say that? Marjorie? Yeah.
Force Marjorie? To do what?
To resign? Because I think that should get nominated.
And now, do you think that the rise of foreign films getting, like non-English speaking films getting nominated has something to do with the fact that we're, reading texts more as opposed to, earlier generations that didn't?
I think that's a really good question, Andy. And I think personally that most people these days are streaming stuff. When you're streaming stuff, it's very easy to throw subtitles on, right? And sometimes people have them on because like whatever, the household's noisy, or like
or you're like me, half deaf.
Or you're like Andy and you're half deaf. Exactly. And I think that what used to be stigmatized, like, I don't want to read if I go to the movies, I'll just read a book, like that mindset seems to have disappeared. And I think, honestly, a lot of it is kind of like Parasite kicking the doors open too.
Yeah.
Because that happened to be the rare time where I'm like, oh yeah, the movie that I actually thought was the best picture of the year won Best Picture.
Yeah. I also think that the rise of like Criterion Channel, like, because I mean they always did the Criterion box sets and stuff, but I feel like more people are watching foreign films now.
You have the access to do it, because a lot of times you remember, like, you had to like have like first of all have a local video store. We'll start with that, then have it be good, and then have it be available, and also know that like it was something that you wanted to see, which basically meant that you needed someone that was like a film estate that worked at the video store that you had a relationship with, which I'm lucky enough, I had that for like years. But like if you didn't have that and you live in like bumblefuck Iowa or something, like like you didn't have the opportunity. So now anyone with an internet connection has that opportunity, and it's there, and it's I think that's not anything to be taken lightly, and I think that's one of the reasons why you see this re-examination of film that you get, like things like Chantal Ackerman's films getting put into like one of the most prestigious lists of major cinema, where and people are like, what, who, oh, I gotta check this out, crazy.
Yeah.
Rather than just
but I also
like
I think if it was just Netflix, I don't think, or just like Amazon Prime or something, like I think the fact that specifically Criterion
you're
Channel,
right, because Netflix is like king of like the low mid movie, where it's like, oh, it's just good enough. It's just good enough that like it's something to throw on. Whereas Criterion's like, oh man, all right, do I really want to see a Tarkovsky movie right now? Jeez, okay, how long do I got? Let's see, when am I supposed to trying to go to bed? But then like you watch it, and you're like, fuck, that was amazing, that was so good. But like it's you gotta have the store open for people to be able to get into it, and the fact that people do, and for folks that, and one thing I didn't realize, I was giving recommendations to my friend Damien from McCluskey for movie stuff, MUBI. Movie Extravaganza, brought to you by Movie. And I was like, because I recently signed on to watch the Park Chan-wook movie, to watch Decision to Leave, and they have a bunch of others too, and I'm like, oh great, that's awesome. And he was like specifically asking for Rex for that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think there's this is on Criterion Channel. I didn't realize Criterion Channel is only US and Canada, it's not in Europe, but Movie is. So that's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's interesting, because if you're looking to film snob it up, you're not going to be able to have that service if you're in Europe. But then, like, I guess Movies kind of like filled that role for the international audiences, and I think that's
movie comes
because it's what's available.
Well, movie comes in clutch because it's not just movies they have on there. They'll promote other movies or stuff, like, and show you where.
Yeah, they're like, almost trying to like like almost be like a recommendation service too. Like it's sort of like they do both, but they're also being like, oh, but by the way, if you liked this film, then you should check out this short that the director did like 10 years ago too. And I'm totally here for anything that does that, but frankly, that's not what like Netflix does. That's not what Hulu does. That was any of these like the major streaming services do. Speaking
of that, I watched a short that Ruben Östlund did like 10 years ago, and that I don't even remember how I came upon it today. I just kind of stumbled on it, and he recreated a bank that got robbed in Stockholm. He recreated like footage that somebody had from that, and literally just like took 90 actors. This was the first thing he ever did. Like 90 actors outside and like a shitty camera. It's called An Incident at a Bank, I think. It's
I could have guessed that. Oh, it's called Planet of the Apes, Conan. What's it about?
That makes JCVD look like have a brilliant title.
Incident by a bank.
Oh, it's called The Blob? Huh? What's it about?
Documenting the eyewitness account of a botched bank robbery, perplexed bystanders watch as the drama unfolds in front of them. It's probably like the biggest crime that happened in Sweden that year. Like,
oh, no doubt, yeah.
They're like, wow,
the only crime that happened in Sweden.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone robbed the bank and fired off 2 shots, and
looks like Andrew Breivik is going to get a roommate.
Well done. Yeah, he's yeah, I haven't seen that one. I honestly, I knew him more from his reaction videos than for his films before this, frankly, which is atypical of me. I usually am up on this kind of stuff, but I didn't actually see Force Majeure and or Force Marjorie, if you prefer.
Farce Marjorie. Yeah, it's a farce that she's in fucking Congress.
Exactly. Here's the donate link. Yeah.
So like
Conan normally
Follow me at Brooklyn Dad for more takes.
Conan normally comes for the movies and stays for the memes, but when it comes to Swedish filmmakers, he does it the opposite way around.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, talk to me about Vinterberg. That's what we did another round, which they're gonna make a freaking US version of it. It's gonna be terrible.
Oh, it's gonna suck.
It's gonna be horrible.
Also, can we talk about how dark the ending of another round is? Like, it's really depressing because he falls back into alcoholism again, and everyone else watching the movie is like, "Yay, free spirit living!" And it's
he's dancing around, and
we gotta talk about this during the after party.
Yeah,
we did do a Zach. We did do an episode, another round with our friend Matthew, film guy, who's on Majority Report and whatnot, who's as big of a fan of as I am, and that was very exciting for me. And also these other guys were on too, and I think they had an okay time.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film.
So let's talk about it during the after party because
Yep.
And let's go through the Oscar nomination list. I feel like because we should do that one more time.
I think that'd be a lovely idea if Zach's got the time.
I do.
But so this is him talking about the paying scene, and this is the clip that I pulled up where he's actually talking about how he came up with the idea for that.
Nice.
Make that man do comics.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's got the artistry down. Yeah.
Well, I was going to do the comics, and I turned around and I realized this comic should make a very good movie, but I already had a contract to do the comics, so I turned.
I
made a movie where I'm drawing the comics into Photoshop.
The composition of what's in the frame, and it's like, man, like a lot of times if you look at storyboard artists, and I hate this, remember in the 90s there were like all those guys working for Image Comics that were like just like third-rate knockoffs of like the studios they were working for. A lot of those guys now are doing storyboards for films, and if you see their storyboards, they're trash. They're just like little scribbles that give you like an idea, a gesture of like what the composition of the screen's going to be. I mean, it works. It communicates what it's trying to do, but it's not like that where it's like this nice clean thing, which is kind of nice.
Andy does comics, by the way, Zach. That's one of the reasons why that's relevant.
I picked up from the artistry of like each episode's thumbnail.
Yeah, good projectile bomb.
What up to the emo dragon? He's
I spent a lot of time last night on that vomit.
we believe you. I think that's such a cool scene too, because also you get like because he's talking about the job, right? He's talking about like, and well, that's where my subtitle, the grumpy brand, where it's like the grumpy brands pay more and like they're more considered more important. And I love that, like there's like breaking it down so like just cynically about what this is. But if you're a spokesmodel or a model on a campaign or something, of course that's like these are things that you have to think about, right? Like,
well, and then you instantly start thinking about brands and like commercials you've seen, and you're like, oh no, yeah, like a bunch of people at an H&M commercial or in an Old Navy commercial or something like that, right? They look entirely different than like Gucci or something, and it's somebody looking down at you, being
right, yeah.
You probably can't afford this shit. I'm wearing Gucci. Like, what the fuck are you wearing, motherfucker? Like,
yeah, and it's I think it's so key that, and again, to understand like why he's like so kind of off kilter and off put in the relationship, which allows him to kind of just refocus that control enthusiasm towards basically being the worst passenger ever, because he has no control over anything, right? Like, and she's clearly like not engaging with him in any way about any way that he wants to, and then like does like that like kind of like, well, you're trying to duck the goddamn bill, aren't you? Like, that's what you're trying to do, after being like, kind of like not engaging with me in the conversation how I thought it would be. And it's very funny, but it's also sort of like, yeah, I can see where that could be obnoxious. Like, if that's, think of it like this isn't the bottle this happened one time. This is like the 20th time or the 30th time or something.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of funny when he confronts her in the elevator, and she's like, "Well, I got you that shirt," and he's like, "Well, that shirt was free, and this hotel room stay was free. Like, it's like you're not spending money on any of this stuff. Like, and the money's not the point. Obviously, he's looking for the emotional connection, and she's not getting that because, I mean, I'm sure
she's not going to give it to him though, and she's pretty straightforward about that. But he's not listening. He doesn't like the answer, so he's not listening, and so that just causes him to be like just a menace, basically.
I like that he tries to find the emotional connection then with Abigail, who kind of shuts him down in the same way, and is like, I don't want to get in the middle of your thing. Like, I just want like the hot guy in my lifeboat. Like,
yeah.
Like, so great. Like, he's finally getting objectified the way that he wanted to be. So good. It's so good. And it's like, oh, not you though. Oh, I guess you. Okay, fine.
But I think he's and you can add like elements of toxic masculinity into it and whatnot, but I think he is in love with Yaya, like completely.
Oh, 100%.
That's my central, like my thing. Like, this is a movie about a guy who is in love with deeply in love with a woman who will never feel the same way about him.
Yeah.
And it's surrounded by all this stuff about class conflict and Marxism and but at the end of the day, what Triangle of Sadness is about to me is about Carl, and it's about him having completely unrequited feelings for Yaya, and that's the center of the movie all the way through.
He doesn't have any control over anything. He doesn't have any control over anything. He finally has control over whether or not he goes into the lifeboat and sleeps with Abigail, and whether he gets food for them, whether he can provide in that situation. And he's like begging her to tell him what he should do.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
He wants, you're 100% right. He wants control of the entire film, right? And then when he finally gets it, doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And he's like, what, just tell me. Like, he literally has that lie where he looks her in the eyes and he's really scared because this is the first time he's ever had to make his own decision, and he's not just kind of being dragged along by whoever else. Like, he's literally dragged along by her onto the cruise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, oh, I got this for free. Come with me and we can take pictures, and you can take pictures of me mostly, but we can take pictures
we'll take pictures,
for our joint branding venture, pretty much, which is what the relationship is. And he finally gets that moment where it's like, you have to make this decision. Like, she's going to be angry at you, but then at the same time, she also is addicted to those fucking pretzels that that you can get out of it. Like, you have to make this choice. And he's like, what should I do? Like, I don't know what you want from me. And it's like, bro, this is your empowering moment. Like, she's giving you your empowering moment, and here's
your off ramp. Yeah. Here's your off ramp, and you're just going right down the line.
And that's why I think the end of the movie is kind of poignant, because he finally does make a decision, and his decision is, I'm going to chase after them. And you know what I mean? Like, his one decision is not really a decision. His one decision is like, I'm going to chase after the two women that I'm in this.
He's still not, for someone who constantly complains about his own place in the world, his own agency. He never uses his own agency, and he's unclear about his place in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So well, and I think he wants some kind of grounding that can't exist for him, for somebody in his situation. And somebody like Yaya just, accepts that grounding can't exist and gets the most out of it. You know what I mean? Like, she gets to go on like a really fun cruise, or, I mean, it's not fun once, but like presumably, like
until the vomit starts, it was great.
and she gets to do all these things, and she gets to travel, and she gets the hot guy that like really is in love with her, but she doesn't love him back. She gets all these things because she's accepted that her place in the world is temporal, like it's going to end at some point. It's going to be burned through, like and
you're right. She's looking at it like there's an end date for this.
Yeah,
like, this can only go on for so long, whereas he'd like, no, it can go on for forever. It's like, no, it really can't.
And
Like,
you can see that it can't go on forever in that very first scene when they're looking at him and they're like, oh, you're like 4 years ago's model, like and he still hasn't accepted even that, like
Yeah, and it's so like over the top, right? That it's easy to kind of miss the nuance of that until you see it kind of framed up with like how he's suffering in this very specific way because of what he can and can't accept and what he wants to be and what actually is. And
I think also the line that really after watching it hit home for me in the first scene is when they look at him, they're like, oh no, it's all about portraying emotion now, which it's not about portraying emotion. It's still superficial and it's still image based, but like this world has moved past just kind of standing there and selling something. Now you have to add that level of emotionality to it that he's not capable of adding to it, but also is the thing that he actually craves in his own life or thinks he craves in his own life.
These pretzels are making me
Dependent.
I want to talk more about Chalby's performance. I think it's obviously heartbreaking that she passed away. This is from the can, because I think she died like a month or something after they went to.
It's like early 20s too, right? She wasn't that old. I know that.
This was like early 30s, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's 4 years older than me, so she was 32 or something.
Yeah. She's not that old, and well, apparently it had to do with a complication from an accident she had where she lost her spleen, and if she only had her spleen, she could have survived.
Yeah, it was
her for her spleen.
Well, she went into sepsis, and it was like after like a decade or something after a car accident. She just ended up having complications again from an accident, which kind of terrifies me because I'm someone who had a pretty bad car accident, and like in my head I'm thinking spleen? Like I do have my spleen, so I'll be fine with that. But like,
you'll be good for a moment.
But it's just one of those things that like hits home. Like, not only was she like extremely young, but it's like a car, like like you could have complications from a car accident like a decade later, and
she's in Death Race 3 with Ving Rhames and Danny Trejo. So there you go.
Which I have not seen.
Death Race is not a good title for. Well, neither is Triangle of Sadness, but I digress.
Ian Harris, I'd like to ask both of you a question. What do you think of the society, of the role that beauty plays in our social hierarchies? And what has it meant for you?
I think coming from a fashion background, I definitely have an inside scoop into it. And it does play a role in it, whether you are aware of it or not. And you see that in this film. And I think what makes it so interesting is in real life, we do have a currency, whether it's our wealth or our beauty or our influence or our power. And then you're put into a situation where that currency is of no longer value. And then who are you? What do you bring to the table? And will you be eaten first? So,
I mean, my character Carl very much knows where he stands in that sense. I think he uses it to his advantage, and I think it's something I value him for doing. It's like I think Ruben makes very astute points about human behavior, and I think he's incredibly observant, and being a part of those conversations are informative and entertaining as well. You know, Ruben is very wonderful at picking holes in our behavior and our egos, and I think with this character, I really had to try and let go of that and allow myself to be pathetic and offer myself up as a piece of meat. And that's an absurd thing to do, but in the scenario, it's what works, and it's what gets him forward. So it's, like Shelby said, it's a part of our everyday. Yeah.
Thank you. We have a question in the center.
Seems like a decent enough dude.
They must exaggerate his teeth in this movie because he has the most British set of fucking chompers in this movie I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Well, it's funny. British people apparently have, in terms of like dental health, the best teeth in the world. So that stereotype has always entertained me.
Yeah, they just
Well,
have
it's
like
not-
most gnarly teeth.
Yeah, it's not
Well,
about.
it came from the 60s.
It's not about
before
like
they
not on
actually got
an aesthetic level, like just in terms of like whatever the amount of tooth rot they have or whatever. They have the best teeth in the world.
Maybe it's an overcorrection from that stereotype.
Yeah.
Oh, I floss every day. So this is before we go to letterbox one-liners and stuff. There's one other clip of him talking about how he found Shelby, and I guess it was had to do with his wife, who's a fashion photographer, like meeting her first, or their friend meeting her first. So I kind of thought that was cool. They like literally did find like a model to, like star as a model, which, I mean, a lot of movies do, I guess, but like it's kind of cool to hear it.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to the real.
And it's clearly it really like it's a star-making performance.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
I'm actually honestly, I mean, well, I guess like best actress is barely. I mean, at least at the point with Daniel Deadwire, like there's more than 5 slots there and whatnot. I am kind of surprised that she didn't get a posthumous best actress nomination.
Maybe they'll do like one of those special shout outs.
Yeah. Right. Like I just
hopefully better than the one where they gave to Tyler Perry for being a good dude. Where it's
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why did you give him an Oscar for that? Like,
yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I know
like,
why I'm so hung up. I know why I'm so hung up with it because he's a hack.
Yo, one time my girlfriend was at the bar and somebody slipped something in her drink, and Tyler Perry saw, and he stopped her from drinking it. I think he deserves that Oscar. And
Let's give him an Oscar. Lord knows he's never going to win one for one of his films. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if I were Tyler Perry, I would have walked up in the fucking Medea drag costume and been like, just to get like a real fuck you, and be like, hello, holding the Oscar.
The thing is, he's a really good actor too. Like when
He's great and Don't Look Up. This guy's, yeah.
And Star Trek and the very first Star Trek movie.
Oh yeah, he's got like 15 seconds of screen time in that one, and he's
phenomenal in all 15 seconds of it.
Maybe
he is the kind of actor who immediately grabs you with like screen presence. And I don't think
maybe the key is that you put him in all ensemble pieces, and then you give him a tiny
little role. Yeah.
More than that, he shows up and he's wearing a nightie, and he's like,
it's like, no, Tyler, no.
I don't even think, I'm sure if you go on Memory Alpha, that character has a name. But I think in the movie, he's just like the dean of Starfleet Academy. Like
he's probably like a spin-off book or something at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's how it works for that.
If I remember correctly, he's actually an established character too, like who was in the original universe. But I'm doing this from memory, and I could be wrong.
This sounds like classic after party material, which we will get to after the real show. Of course, right now, folks, it is time for the Letterbox one-liners. Zach, I know you know all about Letterbox because that's how I know you, and that's why you're on this show right now.
I am a devotee of Letterboxd, even though no matter what I do on that site, I get no engagement.
We'll talk about that.
We're going to start getting engagement now.
Yeah, he's like, wait for that movie night extravaganza bump, baby. Yeah, so Letterboxd, of course, is a place for film. It's a social media site for film lovers to talk at, with, and to each other about the movies they love, maybe the movies that they didn't love, the movies that they were almost drowned in a sea of vomit for. And of course, all these are best expressed succinctly. There's no Siskel's or Eberts around there. Everyone gets to have their say. It's a open source, bottom up democracy, if you will. But it's best done for the purpose of this bit anyway. Succinctly, working your tight 5 in front of the brick wall. These are the Letterbox one-liners for Triangle of Sadness. Let's go. Rich people are mad weird.
Yo, I was gonna send you this when I did it because the graphic is perfect. Like
the graphic's great, yeah. I love it. It's perfect. You can chime in on this if you want, Zach, by the way.
It's just funny.
yeah. Sometimes it's like, yep, respect. That's funny.
No, carry on.
Karl Marx Criterion Collection.
Something we did touch on in this is Dimitri, the fucking oligarch or whatever. He makes him have the Karl Marx beard and hair when they're on the beach at a certain point.
Yeah. That's I forgot about that. Yeah.
Turns him into Marx right after he says, after he says the whole line about from each according to their ability to each according to their need. He gets Marxified.
The Marxification of Latchko Burek. The shit is going down.
A lot of it goes up. I don't know if I agree with that take. There's a lot of shit going upwards.
Listen, gravity is different in 2565.
Woody Harrelson went down with the shit.
Hey, there you go. I'm warning you, I'm an empathetic vomiter.
Oh my god. I have to imagine like there must have been a screening that some chain react, like someone puked during that scene, and there was I want to imagine there was one disastrous screening of this film.
Right. If you puke, I'm gonna hurl.
When I hear the noise of someone puking, my body like wants to join in on it. Like, which I mean I didn't, but like my body definitely was like ready to be like.
I will say, again, tightrope walks. That whole sequence is the absolute stretch of how much of that kind of thing I can take before it negatively impacts the film for me. So
it stops
for finding the exact limit of.
It's hard for me to take it's hard for me to take shit. Like I could do like puking, but it's hard for me to take like seeing shit on camera.
I think you're right, Zach. It's like if it gone like a 10 seconds too much farther, I'm out.
I feel like the outer limit that like is to the point where maybe you start to tolerate it a little bit is Meaning of Life with the fucking puking scene.
Oh yeah, because it gets absurd, it gets stupid, and then it's back to being funny again.
Yeah.
But the thing I love about that whole scene though is the sound of the Foley artist getting the eating and the weird squishy sounds of everything, and just all the sounds leading up to that moment.
Imagine being a Foley artist and that like that comes. Maybe that's their like holy grail. They're like, all right, I have to make an entire room full of people throw up. Let's do this.
You're probably stoked. I mean, like that's my friend Ryan Collison, who you won an Emmy for Narcos. Like he's like, I asked him, it's like, what kind of stuff you end up doing? It's like, a lot of times it's people walking, and you just gotta like, kind of sweeten up the walk. And I'm like, oh, that sounds terrible. It's like, yeah, that's not very interesting, but sometimes it's pretty cool. Extra star for having a Refuse song in there.
Well, have you guys read the screenplay? Because they're talking about the shitting scene. It was in the script. He wanted to be killing in the name, which I do not think would have worked as well.
Dude, the Refuse song is so much better. That would have been.
I think it's. I mean, well, obviously the songs are different tempos. So you'd kind of have to see the scene cut to Killing in the Name. But I just think conceptually that song was so much better.
And Refused as sort of like a political, aspiring political punk band from a certain period of time too. Like it heaps on another layer of awesomeness to have it be that. And especially when you consider where they're from, which he's from as well. So that's a no diss to Rage Against the Machine. When I heard the Refuse song, just like our friend Bill here, who also watched in 2565, what are all these future time travelers? What the hell? I was like, hell yes. This movie just moved up an extra half star for me. Thomas and Dimitri need to be in every Nightmare Blunt rotation.
Have you ever had an experience like that when it's like somebody that like is the opposite political whatever as you, and they just want to argue with you, and you're like both drunk, and at some point you're just like screaming at each other about it, and it's like like trying to one up each other, like, and I love that they don't hide the fact that they're each looking for quotes on their phone. Like
yeah, they're totally trying to like find something to support their argument.
Well, credit to them, they do each get one out before they have to resort to Google.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one guy really likes Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, all of his quotes are Reagan quotes, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, Zlatko Beric, who won Best Actor from the European Film Awards. I love it. That's for me. That's one of the things I think it's incredibly charming. Might be the wrong word, but it's endearing in a way that I find that to be a good centerpiece of that piece of the film. Is that they're holding, because it starts off being like, all right, Woody Harrelson is going to tolerate this dude as much as he has to, and move on with this life, and then you kind of see them sort of like develop this weird kind of friendship is not the right word, but kind of like weird, affable respect to a certain degree, while not changing any part of each other's politics in any way, shape, or form.
That's most debate streams. You know who never got any big awards for their acting?
Huh.
Ronald Reagan.
I have to say it's good. It was the right choice for the movie, but it's disappointing that Woody Harrelson doesn't make it to the island for the sake of having.
I really, really wanted him to be in the island, and I agree. I was like
it is better for the movie, but I almost just wish that they shot a bunch of footage of him and Zlatko Beric on the island.
Oh yeah, just still arguing,
no other substance to the scenes other than their argument doesn't end.
Yeah. They're going out like collecting coconuts or something, and you just hear them like being like, Christ, they're still at it. Okay. Yeah.
Also,
I'd like to think though the captain has his own like some kind of raft or something in there that he just takes, and he's like, he doesn't go down with the ship. He's just alive somewhere else, just drunk off his fucking ass.
Yeah, just a different island off the side there. He's got one of his Mark's books where he's like making like, oh, I should have said this to him.
Or he drowns trying to get as much liquor as he can into the fucking lifeboat.
Yeah, all these are great. That's like the White Lotus ending, but I like the post credit scene. I'm just gonna spec this out. The post credit scene is like he's in the boat and he comes up with the perfect like rejoinder out of like one of his books. Like, I should have said that, and then you just see him, but he's like in the ocean somewhere.
Or for a post credit scene, he's at the resort, like fucking kicked back, like enjoying himself among the fucking rich, but still reading his fucking Karl Marx.
That also works too. It's still
I'm a shit socialist.
The same conceit works no matter the trapping.
Also, and while we're on the subject of the captain and kind of still on the shit scenes, I mentioned this privately, but the shot of the toilet lid flapping in sync with his voice while shit flows out of it is the single funniest shot of maybe, honestly, I said of 2022, it might be the funniest shot of the 2020s so far.
It's like really good. Yeah.
I remember seeing Triangle of Sadness in the theater. There were like 5 people, and I was like bellow laughing for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was just it's still, even on rewatch, like it's still just whoever's decision that was. I don't know if it was Östlund's or if it was just whatever, the prop guy running the shit toilet, but like that, there should be an honorary Oscar for whoever conceived that shot.
I think for me it's that, and then it's Everything Everywhere All at Once when they're just rocks, and and they're just rocks in the eyes. You're like, what the fuck, dude?
By the way, I think it was John Crapper who ran that.
He's not just a prop guy. He's a toilet manager.
He came out of retirement for it. They should let me be rich.
See, I came up with an idea today thinking about this movie. I think that if we're not going to get rid of capitalism as a system, right? Like my pitch, I'm going to come back on screen for this. My pitch.
I was going to say, bold move. You do this in the letterbox one. Yeah.
My pitch is that there's no more inherited wealth, and we just so there's like a cap on the number of rich people, right? Like right now they cap the number of like billionaires you can have, and then they elect the next, where they get in the next ones by lottery. So like everybody like has a chance to be rich, and it has nothing to do with like how well you run a company or anything, because it already doesn't. So like a rich person dies, and then the next one they have a lottery, and someone like in the country or something, the same country that the rich person came from, gets to be the next fucking billionaire, and it could be anybody. And that's my pitch.
Isn't that the start of The Wrong Box?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Well,
haven't seen it, but
it's a great movie. Fucking great movie.
My M. Night twist of that, it is a lottery, but it's Shirley Jackson's the lottery. Boom.
I don't know what that.
See,
I don't know what that means, but
and so the lottery, the if you win the lottery, you get stoned at the end of it. Like, and I don't mean like you smoke a lot of weed. I mean they literally hit you.
yeah,
with
like they stone you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm down with that.
I've never seen a movie so accurately capture the absolute misery of being violently seasick.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie like even attempt to capture it as much as like I think this is like the number one by default in that department.
I've seen movies where they try to get you into feeling like they're rocking the ship, and then the person's clearly sick. I don't know. I don't think they've gotten it that far, like that in depth. I think this is the most accurate that I've seen. But like I have seen movies where you see the person like turn sick, and then the ships are rocking, and you don't come a knocking. From what I hear.
R.I.P. Karl Marx. You would have loved Triangle of Sadness.
I mean, Marx was like a pretty narcissistic fucking dude, as you know, as all thinkers are. I feel like he would have heard his own name and he would have done the fucking Leonardo DiCaprio, like,
yeah.
I did that quote. I said that.
Well, Thatcher would have been the same way, even though this is very clearly a movie that despises her. Like she gets name dropped once too, and she'd be like, "Oh, hey,
she give it 4 stars.
I haven't had my third death yet."
Yeah. She might just be fucking pissed off that that a Russian said her name. This is this is how I felt, by the way, when the puking started. You ready?
Yep. It really is one of the best reaction gifs, I think.
It's gold.
It's up there with and you know the one I'm talking about. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't get it immediately, but it's up there with the David Bowie one. Yes. Yes. Crapper John MD.
That is not how this is not how I felt when the puking scene started. By the way, this is everybody who was on the ship at the end of it.
So did Forrest puke at the toilet overflowing scene in Parasite? I don't know. Forrest, did you?
No, I did, but like that scene is pretty gross. Like I don't know. I'm not a big shit in movies person.
Yeah. I think the Parasite thing doesn't last long enough. The Parasite thing is like 2 seconds long.
It's also just all. I mean, it's not just the toilet. It's like all the water from the sewer lines, which it's disgusting. But like at the same time, it doesn't have the same. It doesn't hit the same as if like a toilet overflows and it's just one. And like I don't know.
Well, yeah, because it's the thing of like it's like with loudness. Like if you're loud all the time, then like you don't have the quiet to contrast it with.
I just say same shit, different toilet.
Those are the Letterboxd one-liners for Triangle of Sadness. Please follow the show on Letterboxd. That's Movie Night Extravaganza. That's Captain Chomsky over there, the anti-capitalist oligarch. You can follow him and see all the movies that we cover on here. I am Conan Neutron. I am a big shit in movies person. You can follow me on Letterboxd. I'm covering all the stuff. Highbrow. You can really tell from this show. Midbrow, populist, everything in between. Follow me along for the Criterion Challenge if you feel so inclined. J. Andrew did it all for the pretzel world. Force the Marjorie is watching all the weirdest stuff, so you don't have to, or maybe so you can. I don't know. I'm not one to judge, but he's doing it all, and it's right there for you, whether you're ready or not. Of course, Zach Marsh. Zach B. Marsh, aka the Bargain Bin Harris Dickinson, is very active on Letterboxd and very entertaining Letterboxd follow, if I do say so myself. And you may follow him as well. He has given you that permission.
Yes.
He's very generous that way.
Please follow me. Please clap. Please clap.
It's AI me over here. Follow everybody that's on the show on Letterboxd. It's a great place to get into it and get down with stuff. J. Andrew did it all for the pretzel world. Please take us away with the plugs.
All right, you're watching us right now on YouTube, so please do all the YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and the big ask is to play the video to the end so other movie fans can find our content that we make. If you're watching us over on Twitch, do the Twitch stuff. Throw us a sub. If you have a Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to us for free. Doesn't cost you anything, but it actually does help us out. So if you can do that, please send some subs our way, because I'm hungry. We're on
hungry for subscriptions, actually. And
yes. Yes,
Both.
yes. You can follow us on social media. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. So follow the show there. You can follow us there as well, and find all kinds of who knows what we're gonna do next. We have a Twitter
You
community.
better ask
which,
Jeeves.
yeah. we do have a Twitter community, which if you want to join, go ahead and ask. I know when I remember, I put polls up.
Oh yeah, the guy who covered Wolf Warrior 2 is very exclusive about who he lets into it.
Yes. Hey, Wolf Warrior 2 is a fascinating movie.
No, I'm just saying. Set the baseline. Set the baseline. It is. I wish it was anywhere other than Twitter, because Twitter is just not the coolest place right now. But whatever.
No,
it's a nice little community.
but yeah, I do like that. Maybe we could do something on Facebook, which is also not that great. But you know,
I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, go follow us on there. It was a natural reaction. Just open content.
Yeah. Well, you know, Hive just isn't quite the same as Twitter or not even it's not even as good as Mastodon.
Well, I believe you. I can't remember my login for that one, so.
But yeah, we have a Patreon. And if you subscribe to the Patreon, you get access to all of our after parties. And I know we do plan on doing more stuff, but will we? One day, maybe we will. Who knows? Watch that space. But
wow, what a hook!
I know.
Maybe someday we'll do something. Who knows?
But we got those after parties. Those after parties are great.
We do.
Like,
I think we're gonna do one tonight. We're gonna have Zach do his take on the Oscar nominees, and that should be cool because we did that with KT.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I've enjoyed everyone that we've done that with so far.
I am looking forward to it.
Yeah. And if that's not quite your
you gotta
thing,
pay.
always,
You gotta pay, sucker.
Yeah, you gotta pay so you can get access to say great things like Smash or Pass Muppets.
That was the thing that did happen, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. So Conan, you have a great show called Platonic Reversal.
That's what. Wait, hold on. Back it up. That was what you were going to use to sell the Patreon. Oh yeah, this now classic bit. The people are like, wow, that sounds terrible. I never want to see that.
Actually, I was talking to somebody recently about our show, and she was really into the idea of watching Smash or Pass Muppets.
Boy, is my finger not in the pulse. All right. All right, we regret the error.
Yeah, no, her response was like, "Really? That sounds great."
It wasn't boring. I know that much.
Someone wrote earlier. Hold on. Somebody wrote on Twitter earlier. They were like, never really understood why a bad bitch like Miss Piggy threw herself at that goofy green frog, but there is something about a skinny musician that makes women lose their better judgment. And my response was just, well, if you could pick a banjo with those fingers, with those swamp fingers, you can only imagine what he can. Never mind. Smash your pass Muppets.
Yes, and then that has been your Twitter update from Forrest. But Conan, you have a great show called Platonic Reversal.
I do. Yeah. We had Russell Simmons of Service and John Spencer Blues Explosion was just on. That was a great episode. That's now been in the free feed. Lori from Acid King is coming up this week, so that should be good to hear from her, see what she's up to. Lots of great stuff happening on Platonic as always. So check it
sounds like fun. Yeah, there's also Caterwaul coming up, which tickets are available right now at caterwaul.org.
Yep. May whatever Memorial Day weekend is. I should really get this down.
Yes.
In Minneapolis.
Great is yes.
May 26th to May 29th. It's a 4-day music festival. So 56 bands, something along those lines. So yeah.
Including Conan Neutron and Secret Friends and
playing on Saturday.
Action Chief.
Playing on Friday. Yes. And other people probably that have been in the show, but I haven't thought too hard about it.
No, that's okay. Those are the important ones right now.
The ones that I'm in.
You know what else? If you cannot wait till May to see that, you can go to neutronfriends.bandcamp.com and be able to buy some great Conan Neutron music, including Dangerous Nomenclature and the newest single, whatever the fuck that thing's called.
You're doing so good. Cry Bullies. And here's
Cry
that dangerous
Bullies,
number
yes.
picture. It was out of reach. Sorry.
Yeah.
You did the art for it. How do you not know what it was called? You did the art.
Because I have a
Well,
brain
he still
fart.
doesn't remember how to spell neutron, and you know.
It's
I screw these things up all the time. That's why I have notes, copious notes in front of me right now.
It's where the moon conf trivia is where that part of it in that part of his brain.
Yes,
the moon Nazi movie.
yes.
I forget what it's called, but they're Nazis and they're on the moon. It's crazy. It's a crazy picture.
It's called Iron Skies. Remember
Okay, is
that,
it?
but
Okay.
I can't remember.
Can you remember what's
Anyway.
next to the plugs? Because it'd be great to hear it.
Yeah. No, I think we should talk about Zach.
Okay.
My favorite subject.
Yeah. He's got a great film called Talk of the Park, which I just checked out and I thought it was really good. So far, it's my favorite film of the year. That came out in
Wow.
2023.
Yeah, you
So
seem
like
what?
it's a plane in that one.
It's better than Plane. Plane.
Well, granted, I didn't hate Plane, but I do humbly feel that my film has a little more substance than Plane does. So I am very honored that.
Would you say that it's a good surface to air ratio?
Yeah. Sure, we'll go with that.
If forced into it, he would. Yeah. If
I mean,
forced
honestly,
majored into it.
If you like this show, you will like a Zach's movie. It pretty much is like not to spoil anything because I don't want to say anything about it, but like it kind of like goes through the arc of our show perfectly. You got the serious bits, you got your funny bits, and you got your obscure movie.
Really, a
references.
movie has
It's
someone that spends 35 minutes doing the plugs.
It's
It was a
incredible.
bold move for a first feature. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was into it. But if you're in Toronto, you can actually check it out on March 20th.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. It's premiere. It's having its world premiere at the Toronto Short Film Festival, which is playing at the Paradise Theater, which is if you're in Toronto, it's by Ossington Station, basically. And we're I don't know, they group the shorts into like hour and a half slots. So we're in the slot from like 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Nice. The only person I can think of I know in Toronto is friend of the show, Chris Murphy from Sloan. And I think he's probably
Chris Murphy's. I met Chris Murphy once at in a Tim Hortons randomly. Optimist. Like I'm a huge
That is the most Canadian sentence I've ever heard. by the way.
a huge Sloan fan, but also he is a fucking awesome human being.
The only way to make it more Canadian is if before he said, "Hey, my name's Zach," he apologized.
Sorry.
Yeah. I did apologize. I did apologize because I said I don't mean to bug you, but are you Chris Murphy? And he was just very much like, yeah, I am Chris Murphy.
He's like, I am Chris Murphy. Sorry.
Well, funny thing is when I met Chris Murphy in Toronto, I didn't know who he was. So there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know who you are.
Anyway, so that's
But
when in
yeah.
Toronto. Go see Talk in the Park. That's Zach's film, right?
Yeah, it's written, directed, and starring Zach.
Yep.
Do it all.
Yes.
Triple threat.
And it's
But,
beautifully shot too. I really was like taken for that. I was really enjoying that aspect.
All right, save it for the biography. Can we get? Are we final thoughts yet, or what?
Yeah. So Zach, you got any final thoughts? Just a succinct and just any kind of expression that to sum up this wonderful triangle of sadness.
I think it's a masterpiece. I haven't seen The Square, but I have seen Force Majeure, and I think it's Östlund's best film. I think it's one of the best films of 2022, and on rewatch, I think even a little bit stronger about that. So yeah, great film amongst one of the great movie years.
Words. I agree. Conan.
Yeah, so I think that very enjoyable film. It's not as insightful maybe as I would like it to be, but it's very fun and entertaining, and it is insightful. It's very cynical, very darkly funny. I think it makes Parasite look subtle by comparison, but that's nothing wrong with that. It's worth watching for drunk Marxist Woody Harrelson alone. And there's some amazing vomit and liquid feces work here, and Dolly DeLeon's character is fantastic. If you want to see class commentary that's on the equivalent of machine gunning fish in a barrel, this is definitely for you. But there's more to it than just that, and so that's what makes it a worthwhile movie.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, I was the only thing I knew about the show was the shitting and the puking, and
the shitting and the puking and the
yeah, so I kind of was glad to have been warned about that, because I might have been eating during the that just
Andy,
no
yeah
no, it's I'm glad that part was spoiled, but normally I'm against spoilers. But no, it was a fun movie.
I'm pro. If there's gonna be bodily functions going wrong, I'm very pro not being spoiled.
Yeah. I also got to say, I don't buy the line in the movie that a full stomach helps the seasickness, because if that's how it turns out with a full stomach, like how can it be worse than that? You know?
Yeah.
Well, and the irony is that the one character that doesn't, or the two characters that don't eat, are the only two that don't get seasick. Like
Yeah.
models.
Right, exactly.
If my uncle was around, I could check fact check it with him, but R.I.P. my uncle who's a fisherman. Anyways, no, it's fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah. Fascinating co-host.
Yeah. I had not. I remember.
Sorry,
I'm trying to get back onto the subject here. I remember actually. One of the movie services I got was trying to push his movie The Square, and I remember like wanting to watch it, thinking it was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, and then I saw like, oh, it's Swedish. What? Van Damme's not in it. No, look at the film poster. Tell me that doesn't look like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very.
Yeah. But I was looking for something dumb like that because I was drawing at the time. So I needed something.
I thought you were gonna say because you were drunk at the time. I was drunk at the time. And I was like, The Square. What even is this?
And I'm like, that looks like something I gotta pay.
I love geometry. Let's go.
Let's go Death Race 3.
Death Race 3, the best of the Death Race movies, really.
But yeah, so I actually very much appreciated being able to watch this, because I might have skipped this otherwise. Because yeah, I mean, it's like Triangle Sadness. That sounds depressing. I don't want to watch that.
I don't like triangles of happiness. I like happy shapes.
Yes.
Where's the rhombus of loveliness? That's the one I want to watch. Rhombus.
The oval of love.
Word. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So,
well, we're gonna be heading on over. Meandering over to the old after party, as Karl Marx once said.